I can't believe it. We're at our final award presentation for today's Security Director of the Year. We've kept this one under wraps for quite some time. So it's with great pleasure that I introduce the 2022 recipient, David Salston. David Salston is the Director of Security for Oxford Properties, a global property management company, and is responsible through his team for overseeing physical security, emergency management, and health and safety programs. David has been involved in the industry for over 30 years. He holds a Master's of Science degree in Security and Risk Management from the University of Leicester. David is board certified through ASIS as a certified protection professional and physical security professional. He is a founding member of the Commercial Real Estate Security Group and a co-founder of the Canadian Security Lifesaver Association. He's an active member of BOMA's Toronto Security and Risk Management Advisory Committee. He was previously an executive committee member of the Commercial Real Estate Cyber Consortium. Over to you, David.
Great. Thanks a lot, Neil. And, first of all, wow, I was blown away when I received the phone call from you coming back on a road trip. And quite frankly, I still am. Congratulations to the rest of the awards recipients today. This is such a huge honor, and it really is a huge deal to me. I want to do a few thank yous. Like, obviously, thank you to Annex Media and Canadian Security. I really appreciate this recognition. The panel of judges, many of whom I've worked with in different capacities over the years. So P.T. Barnum had it wrong. You can fool all the people all the time, apparently. I really, a heartfelt thank you to the folks that nominated me. Neil, Jess, Mike, Michael. All of us have been through a really rough time over the last couple of years, not only in this industry, but everywhere. And, that type of psychic hug is something that I think we all need from time to time. So thank you very much for that. I'm reflecting upon, the number of folks that talked about mentorship today, and it's absolutely true. And I'm a firm believer that the successes that we have are built upon the people that we surround ourselves, work with, build relationships with. And honestly, our CEO of OMERS, our parent company, has often said, I don't know if it's his quote or not, but business is built on the speed of trust. So I'm going to mention some of the people that stand out in my mind today. I know I'm going to miss people. However, that being said, I'm going to caveat that with the story of one of the security officers I worked with several years ago in Pickering. And Adam, every time he signed a brief, and all the teams were asked to send briefs at the end of their shifts describing what had happened. And he always signed, "Stay safe, I love you all." So you can imagine about 25 years ago, he used to get a bit of a ribbing about that. But what he was quietly doing was building a culture of trust. So if I miss anybody as I'm speaking, it's not on purpose. I do love you all. You're all a part of any successes that I've had. I want to point out someone, I know a couple of the folks today have spoken about the SIS certifications. Rick Leswick, I was going to night school literally decades ago, and Rick Leswick took me aside. He was the former head of security for Bramley Limited. Tells you how far back that was. And he said, "You know what?" He says, "I think your efforts are better spent getting this certification. I think you don't need to be at this course." Rick was the professor. It was his course that he was teaching, so it always made me kind of chuckle. But he was right. It was time very much well spent. Tip of the hat to Alan Arsenal, one of the best bosses I've ever worked for. Not even in the security industry, but what he taught me was the fact that managing and leading has nothing to do with work. It is actually all about building trust, building relationships, and his team would walk on fire for him. Jim Clark. When you think about research and duplicate, Jim in the 20 Vic days had built the security program, and I unabashedly, to use Mello's words, plagiarized what he did and tried to build upon it. And that's a lot of the foundational things that we put into place at 20 Vic or at Oxford. My team at Oxford, my direct reports, Neil Matthews and Karen. Neil, if you ever need someone to roll out and execute upon very complex enterprise-wide systems, he's got your back. And Karen for incredible depth of knowledge and just an absolute joy to work with on the health and safety side. I also want to call out the extended security team. I would put any of our site security leaders up against anyone in North America or the world. They bring the passion every single day. in Bob Riddle's keynote address, he talked about, all the challenges that we currently have in the industry and things that are coming down the pipe. And our teams bring it every single day. And for that, I can't thank them enough. On the collegial side, I mentioned Bob, over the course of the pandemic, every second Thursday night or so, we would get together, Roy Manius, Luciano Sojoni, Terry Chwanek, Bob, Brian Clayman when he wasn't around on a motorcycle, and chat about what was going on in the world, keeping each other sane. And Lena Securis said it last year when she accepted the same award and said, sometimes if you're lucky enough, you'll actually get to have some really long-lasting friendships. So I thank them for that. The CSLA folks, the Canadian Security Lifesaver Association team, I can't thank our board members enough for the time and effort that they put into giving back to the community and being able to award and nominate people that have done some truly heroic things in the security industry. Our law enforcement partners, some of the things that we've been able to do, I have to give a nod of the hat to Minister Bill Blair, used to be Chief of Police Bill Blair, taking the strategic leadership to try some innovative approaches as public-private partnerships. And those wouldn't have occurred without the likes of Chris Fernandez and Bill Nidos from EMPO and his team that really pushed forward and saw the value in building those partnerships. Our federal partners from ITAC and INSET, like Sandy Harvey, Tim O'Neill, special hats off to Victor Monroe and Victor Mitev as well, always there to lend a hand. And I can't say enough about a good friend of mine, Ken Davis. Andrew McCallan, our senior vice president at the time, has said, hey, I need you to make some inroads with some of the policing partners. And Ken started by introducing me, and that's where your mentors really show up. And for that, I'm deeply grateful. I also want to talk briefly about what I've seen as a change or a bellwether change in the industry, which is really, really neat to see. A few weeks ago at GSX, I was talking to Jody Reed, who's now heading up the CSLA. And I said, years ago, you'd come here and it would be a conference of mostly bald white guys. And there's no shortage of that, certainly, as it is. But what we're starting to see now is the incredible trailblazing by the women in security. Lena's one of them. Christina Duffy, heading up at ASIS International at the time. Sherry Ireland. My internal teams with Jess Graham and Jamie Raymond and Sonia Garman, Susan Mancini at Edmonton, Pam Brown just retired. We're starting to really see diversity within this field, diverse opinions, diverse perspectives, and we're effectively crowdsourcing where we go from here. So absolutely hats off. So just, I think as I want to close this off, I want to say a special thank you to the three women on my side of my family, Donna, Paula, and Heather. Like Mark alluded to, on the road a lot, long calls, often away from home. Thank you very much for being that support and that foundation. Neil, I'll pass it back to you. Thank you very much, everyone. As Adam would sign off, I love y'all. This is one more thing to be grateful as we go into Thanksgiving weekend. So thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you for those kind words. We extend our congratulations to Dave and all of our winners today. It's a pleasure to host these awards year after year. Pleasure to acknowledge all the folks that are doing some great work in this industry.